Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. We are from Group C, consists of Muhammad Fadli and Lina Mariani, and I am Muhammad Fadli, and we would like to discuss about students' need analysis. Okay, why student need analysis? Learning English as a foreign language is a crucial element for students to face and adapt the global technology which use the English language as the mean of communication in international language. The English language has also become the instructional language in the aspect of the global communication of life, including educational aspect. Listening is a crucial capability of social interaction among listening, speaking, reading, and writing, and it has been identified that people receive new messages are more effective by listening than reading. I think most teachers will agree that the better we know our students, the better we're able to teach them. This is one reason why we often start courses with getting to know you activities, which encourage students to exchange basic personal information with each other and the teacher. However, in addition to getting to know our students as people at the beginning of the course, we also need to get to know them as learners. The process of collecting information about our student needs, interpreting this information, and then making decision about the course based on what we uncover is called need analysis. Needs. What exactly do we mean by needs in the context of English language teaching? First of all, each student begin a course with their own perceived needs. Something these are very specific, perhaps related to their studies or profession. One student may work in an office and need to write emails, while another may work at a clothing shop and need to interact with foreign customers. Our needs may be more general, for example, reaching a B2 level of English by the end of secondary school. These general needs may also be thought of as a long-term goals. Another type of need is related to the student's current level of competence in the language. This type of need is usually more easily perceived by the teacher than the student. For example, during the first few lessons, the teacher may notice that their student have difficulty with comparative and superlative adjective, or they don't distinguish between certain English vowel sounds like e and e. Yet another type of need we should be aware of at the beginning of a course is not determined by the student or the teacher, but rather comes from above, handed down by the Ministry of Education official exam board. For example, students may need to improve their essay writing skills because it is a genre of writing commonly tested in Higgs-stage exams. Need analysis activities. Now let's have a look at some classroom activities that can help us identify our student needs. 1. Questionnaires. An obvious activity type for need analysis is questionnaires. These will have to be tailored to fit your particular teaching context, but they should ideally include a range of questions about student motivation for taking the course, prior learning experiences, perceived strengths and weaknesses, situation in which they are likely to use the second language, goal and expectation, learning preference. Questionnaires have the advantage of taking up relatively little class time. They also provide you with the same type of information about all the student needs. Note that it's important to grade the language used in a questionnaire to your student level. If they don't understand the question, they won't be able to answer them. With lower level, there is a good argument to be made for doing this type of needs analysis activity in the student first language. With higher levels, however, you may follow the advice of Anderson, who proposed turning need analysis questionnaire into a social event by having students do them in pairs. The idea is to have students take turns interviewing each other and noting down their answer on their worksheets, which are then handed to the teacher at the end of the activity. Meanwhile, the teacher monitors the pair work, taking notes on both the needs discussed by the student and any language-related needs they notice along the way. 2. Find someone who. There are many classic ALT activities such as find someone who that can easily be given a needs analysis twice. For example, instead of using this activity to practice grammar or vocabulary, you could write questions that focus on how students use English outside of class or their learning preference in class. Working individually versus in pair or small groups, how they like to be corrected. To name just a few, board games, class surveys, and cushion cart or other example of classroom activities that can actually be adapted to get students talking about their needs.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Lina Mariani, and I will continue explanation about the material from Fadli. Okay, number 3 is ranking. If you are doing a business English course where students are likely to have very specific needs, you could write several different situations or participating in conference calls, answering emails, and each other, or language function, or negotiating politically disagreeing and each other on cards, uh, and ask students to rank them in terms of how important they are to performing their job, with groups that are likely to have less well-defined needs, such as a conversation club for adults. You could put 25 or so topics on cards and ask the student to narrow them down to the 10 they find more interesting. Okay, number 4 in writing. For needs analysis to be successful, students have to be open and honest about the information they share. If you think your students will be more comfortable doing so in writing, you could share them the task of writing you an email. In the task instructions, specify exactly what kind of information you would like them to include, their perceived strengths and weakness, their goals, time restrained to studying outside of class and each other. Okay, next, number 5 is looking at the material. One final activity is to put students in group and give them the course book you plan to use. Ask them to look through it and discuss which parts they find most useful or interesting. There is rarely time in any course to do every page in the book, so it can be helpful to both the teacher and the students to think about what to prioritize. You might you might even find that your student might to do sections of the books that you would have completely skipped. Benefits. There are a number of benefits to need analysis, just like getting to know you style activities. Classroom text focus on needs analysis can help create a sense of community. It shows students that they have a voice and that you are prepared to listen. There are also practical benefits. If we are more aware of students' needs, we can use class time more productively. We are less likely to allocate time to language activities our students are already quite confident with, giving us more time to focus on language activities that they do need more practice with. We are also more likely to select lesson content that is better suited to our students' needs. So what's next? Once you have carried out a needs analysis, the next step is to process the information you have collected and use it to inform your decision about the course. In practice, it will probably be impossible to address all the students' needs within a single course. It may also be hard to reconcile certain needs with the demands of the educational institution where you work. For these reasons, it's important to be clear and honest with students about which needs can be realistically address uh, conclusion. This analysis is the mind to collect information about students' needs by analyzing their tasks or by asking their targets, and wants. Necessities are the demands of the target task. Like involves looking at where learners are at the present, and wants or students often views about what they think is usually for them. Okay, I think today's presentation will be enough. If there is something unclear or there is something we would like to discuss. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.